Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
And thank you for taking the time out. So could you introduce yourself to us?
Yes, so I'm Iris Fernandez. I'm a Halport case manager for Buddies. I don't live in Bergen County, but I work here. It's been a year now that I've been associated with Bergen County. Um, Currently, we see many people walk through our doors as far as like the LGBTQ community, an ally working and family members very much part of everyday life.
Awesome.
I would say. Yeah.
And so you see lots of LGBT people, and that's how this relates to you. You're working with people that are LGBT.
Yes.
Okay. So my question and the question I keep on asking people, and this is born out of genuine, I don't know the answer. You know what I mean? Um, What are your thoughts on the fact we don't have an LGBT center? And how do you think that impacts, from your view, how does that impact the community at large? Not just the LGBT community, but like how do you think that's an impact?
Yeah. I mean, first, the fact that we don't have one, is shocking to me. I feel like 2021, it's weird not to have that available. Like that's odd to me. Like that's not the majority of counties. And it impacts us, especially for me. Like I'm dealing with people at risk of homelessness, dealing with a lot. Um, and they come here and I can see like a whole picture. And sometimes like it affects them where they can go. It's nowhere to direct them. And sometimes I feel like it's a handicap. So it's like my hands are tied behind my back because, the resources that I have, yes, they're resources, but they only deal with one part of the problem. And I feel like, you know, my clients are lost. Like, they can use a community, they can use, and then also too, I don't think a lot of the resources that we have are aware how to handle the community. They don't know, you know, what's impacting their homelessness or, just whatever the situation they're in. I feel like sometimes is being part of that community and not having like outlet, not having places to go. So I feel like they get lost in the mix because I can refer them to another outdoor and outside agency. A lot of times it won't be in our county, so they're losing the little support that they have, but with family and friends because they're forced to either leave the county or don't, and they stay in that situation that brought them to me in the first place. So it's difficult. It's hard. I feel like I'm working with one hand behind my back, and it's hard to. And sometimes I don't have a place for them to go. I think having a center would be great because I think for them personally, just to have a sense of community and home, and then also just when you go to the doctor, you go to a specific doctor. If I want to go to a chiropractor, I'm not going to go to my ear throat specialist. Like I want someone to like be able to address my concerns, and having a center I think would do that. Like it's people who live in the community, who are part of the community, helping the community, and I think that's was lacking. And I think also when you have experts, they can have connections and real resources that can help people. And I think that's what we're lacking.
Yeah. And part of this project is to show the need, right? So you have a very specific population that are coming in there. And the idea is, it's like, it impacts everyone throughout the community. So, but the other idea I'm trying to bring out in a sort of roundabout way is that if these things were met early, if you had therapists, if you had, connections with housing and all this kind of stuff early on, it would stop so many problems from growing so much more,
Yeah, 100%,
you know?
100%. Just because, while I'm in the room with people and they're talking, like things come out. Like sometimes, like it's people who haven't come out to family and friends, are afraid when they do what's going to happen. It's people who have and have like negative, negative reactions to that. And then there's other things too. It's not sometimes, being gay. It's how like transitioning is hard for people like that. I feel like that too alone, there's no support. There's no like, how can I help? There's so many like specific things that I feel like if they had help in the very beginning, you know, that's gonna not lead to homelessness. Like they're going to be fine, or drug use, or just there's a lot of different things. I feel like that's their outlet, right? Like that's where um, they find whatever support that they can, and you know cling on to that. And
Yeah,
there's nothing really to, like you said, like prevent them from getting to like their very worst scenario.
yeah. And so ideally, I would like to write a paper, and I'm not the best writer. I'm not the most educated man. I'm not the most, smartest person. But I'm going to do my best to
Yeah.
get this and use real numbers that we know exist, and then apply them to Bergen County. And the idea is, I've talked to people who work with children, a lot of young children, and the impact of LGBT that are being displaced from their homes or having been thrown out. And if we don't have the resources, then the understanding is that if you don't have any therapists or helping children go through the process of being thrown out solely because they are too effeminate or too masculine, or they're just not meeting expectations of what the parents want, that's going to impact them deeply. And if you don't have the therapist, if you don't have that to help them, they're going to fall down that rabbit hole. And then the idea is when they get to our population, the 20s and the 30s and stuff like that, they're going to have lots of addiction, lots of mental health, lots of, they're at their wits' end at this point. We're seeing the worst case scenarios of that impact. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to paint a picture. And do you think that's a fair assessment of what's going on?
No, yes, yes, yeah, I would say so. Um, like I said, it takes a quick Google search, and you can see like there's no hope in Bergen County. It's very limited, and the perception that the county gives off is not necessarily what you and I know is the truth and what's actually going on. Um, and I think that also that has to affect people when you don't feel represented, you don't feel welcomed, you don't feel like there's a place for you to go in your own backyard. So like I said, I think it's in my work, like I see it when I'm seeing updates from other counties, like, there's an opening for here and this is what we have, and it's geared to this community, this population, and it's like it's never Bergen County. Like I can never say like, oh hey, by the way,
Well, maybe this will change.
Yeah, and that's the hope. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I also like to highlight the fact that you're doing the work and you're seeing lots of people, and it's a thankless job. And I just want to make sure I bring out this moment to say how important you are, and the fact that you are taking the time out to do this interview, because my community won't has been at this for since the beginning of time, and it's not until people like yourself sit there and say, hey, this is not right, do
Yeah.
people start taking action. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing the work that you're doing, and thank you for just being in that thankless position, constantly seeing people at their worst and they're yelling and they're screaming and desperate, and then they're fine and you don't see one, so you
Yeah,
constantly
you're like, oh.
you're constantly seeing all that. So you need to hear thank yous more often. So this is my way of saying that to you.
Oh, I appreciate it. And thank you, like, for taking the initiative and actually trying to change and do something and, get something tangible for us. So I thank you for that, but I appreciate it. Yeah.
So with this interview, it's being recorded and it's going to be made public at some point. Do you give consent to that?
I do. I wish my hair was done, but it's
Well, I wish I didn't look like an old goat.
no,
But
no,
you know,
a little tighter in the chin area, but no, yeah.
you look beautiful, and you're beautiful.
Thank you.
So do you feel okay with everything that was discussed here? Is everything
Yeah,
on par?
I do.
And at any moment or any time, if you want to have this taken down for any reason or no reason, just contact me and I'll do it. Just allow me time
Yeah.
to get to it.
Okay, of course.
So if you have anything else, this is your platform. If you want to add to anything else, or if not, we're okay. Or
Yeah,
any
I think
questions?
no, I think I'm good. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna end the recording here.